And Cam Richardson for Te Pātaka o Rākaihautū Banks Peninsula Community Board.
So I've got my team with me. I've got, I will go in the middle. I've got Joan, and I just really want to acknowledge the fine work of our staff who work around us and assist us in putting our work together, our submissions together, plans together, how dedicated they are to looking after us. And of course I've got our deputy with me this morning, Tyrone.
Got it.
So I just wanted to start off by tabling the things that I know that are very important about Banks Peninsula and tell the story about Banks Peninsula, which is the Banks Peninsula Community Mapping Project that we've got, and our Banks Peninsula Community Board Plan that fits behind our submissions and things, all of our submissions and things that we do. So, and of course our little Banks Peninsula label that's very important, just to let you know where we come from. So I welcome the opportunity of presenting to you this morning, and it is times like this when we think about what joining the city has done for Banks Peninsula, and we wonder if our city's aware of it, but I wonder if you know what Banks Peninsula has done for you, the city, and there are so many things that the city has done that Banks Peninsula has done for the city too. So we have provided many opportunities for the residents of Christchurch to come and share with us our lovely environment, walking, visiting museums, fishing, whatever it might be. We have a wonderful place. We are a point of difference for the city, and we're reminded that Aotearoa hosts the second largest number of visitors arrivals to the city, and in fact the region, second only to the airport. And that will continue when the cruise ships go back to Lyttelton. Those same number of visitors will come through our Banks Peninsula region and either come back to Banks Peninsula Aotearoa area to visit or go through to the city. So and our landmass is made up of multiple small communities, and it's a great challenge to keep them all together. They bring a multitude of different skills, and they also bring challenges. We've also on Banks Peninsula got a very engaged community, and that is about connectedness. And I hear people from the city that own holiday houses in Aotearoa and say, hey, look, or Pigeon Bay or anywhere across the peninsula, hey, I love coming to Banks Peninsula communities because there is a sense of community, a real sense of community and getting on with each other. So in this annual plan, there's a lot of progress, a lot of things we could talk about celebrating, but this is the one here that we haven't really had the official opening of it yet. Hopefully perhaps Monday we might get it, but because of events that happened on March the 15th. But the reopening of the Sumner Road is just amazing for our communities of Banks Peninsula and of course for the communities over the other side of the hill. A great progress, and there are a number of people using that road. So it's just, one of the economic boons for Lyttelton, that Lyttelton needs that support and opportunities to develop and go ahead. So there are a number of other local projects that are of significance too. For example, the head-to-head walkway that brings a number of our communities together, and each little community has got a section of the walkway to look after. And they're an incredible little group, and it's making progress and moving it around the whole inner harbour of Lyttelton, the head-to-head walkway. So it's and we have tremendous staff. I see Paul sitting here behind me today, and Paul and the Rages team are superb in supporting us to achieve that. The Misty Peak and Te Oka management plans that have just gone through in the last few weeks, another great opportunities that the city will come and have the opportunity of benefiting of walking around those parks. Naval Point, an incredible project leader in Christine Bauer, who's keeping the community and the community board together to move forward with an amazing project. The Aotearoa Wharf is another one that we're just continuing on. The wharf is stuffed. It's old, not fit for purpose any longer, so we're starting that journey and have got a project manager working with us and great opportunities for that. There are other ones. The opening of the boardroom in Lyttelton office after the earthquakes. which is an amazing building to walk out of. The restored post office building, where we've got amazing technology and things, that yes, we've had made great progress. So then if we move on to some of our community board priorities, and visitor planning is becoming very important to Banks Peninsula, and that we need to have the support of all of those around us to make that happen. We need Christchurch NZ to be working with us and others to work with us. We welcome the opportunity on the economic development implications of the move of many cruise ships from Akaroa to Littleton. So both of those communities actually do need some support to make those changes. Akaroa will be losing a number of cruise ships and a number of people in the village using the restaurants and things, so they will be needing support through that to ensure that they remain viable. And the same with Littleton, goes the opposite way. They will be expecting larger numbers of cruise passengers there, and we need to make sure that we've got good services available there. So there are over 90 ships planned to visit Akaroa for the next season, and all the larger ones, perhaps 70 of them, will be going to Littleton in 2020-21. So the Community Board is ensuring that the infrastructure is in place to welcome cruise ship visitors to Akaroa in 1920 and Littleton in 2021. That all the infrastructure is in place for those 90 plus ships coming in this next season, and that detailed planning is underway to have permanent toilets in place in Littleton for the 2021 cruise ship season. So the toilets feature very highly on our list. So well, I even went to New Brighton's one last night and yesterday. Well, they're a bit rugged. So they're rugged across the city. So we need to raise the profile. We need to have a project manager around the toilets. So for maintenance of our parks and roads is another one that needs to be looked at. And we're looking that we welcome the increased funding for sealed roads that we've had during the year, and we believe that longer term funding for the roads on Baxter needs to be increased. That we want to see that they're looking after the water table, the culverts, and the shingling of the roads all in one process, rather than doing just shingling the roads and then coming back later on to do those other things. So it needs to be an integrated process. We welcome the opportunity of the road working party, so we're only just learning about what's on those roads in Banks Peninsula and what poor condition they are in. Their base condition is not good. So we are seeing actually an increased number of locals and overseas and visitors coming to the bays and using our roads, not familiar with them, and they're a challenge, along with the impact of logging in some of the outer bays and the impacts of larger traffic and trailers. And longer term, as I said, we need more funding for those, and for parks maintenance. Parks is another area where we're looking for incredible improvements. We understand that the council is working very hard to assist us in achieving those higher standards, but it is proving very difficult to do that. So lastly, if we just move to support for our partners, design panels and volunteers. So Banks Peninsula has a huge range of volunteer groups working. This is down at Hiroko at Birdling's Flat, where they're doing some environmental work down there. But in every community we have volunteers doing things. We also have reserve management committees who are all doing a lot of work with council staff, and that makes that dollar go even further. So we welcome those opportunities, and we had a huge number of projects with park staff working with it. We really appreciate it. And of course, through the submission process, we see there are a number of those in our as part of the Banks Peninsula submissions to the annual plan hearings. Lastly, there, I just want to bring up, we seek funding to continue with our 2 design panels in Akaroa and Littleton. These are design panels that have people that are experts. We have just reviewed those design panels in both Akaroa and Littleton, and have agreed that they will move forward, but there is no funding behind them to support those experts that are assisting us during the process. So those people are aware of heritage from our community. They have Akaroa design guides, they have Littleton design guides to work with, and so we're just seeking some funding The city does provide funding behind your urban design panel in the city for those experts that are used, and so we're just seeking some similar funding for our Banks Peninsula experts that we will use in ensuring that our communities are recognised for their heritage status in both Littleton and Akaroa. I don't know what time frame we are. I haven't got a clock here in front of me. Where are we up to?
You've got another 10 minutes.
Another 10 minutes. Well, I'll leave you to ask some questions.
We can fill up 10 minutes easily.
Right, okay. Right,
And
some questions.
Yes, thank you. And you're totally right. I mean, Banks Peninsula offers so much, Akaroa, so much to the city and to the people who visit there. And I know that I've asked this before, but I'm wondering how you feel about charging for things like loos. Over in Europe, if, for example, you go to lots of cities and you pay to go to the loo, you pay $1 or whatever, €1 even. Would that be something you would consider as visitors are coming in and using your wonderful facilities? Is that something you would consider?
Well, we haven't had that discussion, and as I mentioned, perhaps we need a project manager to be looking at toilets across Banks Peninsula and perhaps across the city too. Perhaps that might be part of the brief that you talk about. But there's not many places where you actually go on holiday where you actually pay to use the toilet. There might be a donations box, and I've just been down to Arrowtown where my children live and have been to the loos, Flash Exelon loos down there. There's no payment for them, so I'm not sure. Maybe it's setting a precedent, but perhaps something that could be looked at.
Can I just add something?
Yeah.
And
Sure.
So we know in New Zealand it's not part of the way we do things, is it? We don't charge for toilets. We've got amazing toilets here, actually. I mean, I've done a lot of travelling, and the toilets in New Zealand are above and beyond what you'll find anywhere in the world. We don't charge for them, but however, the pressures are undeniable. I mean, Pauline made the comment that everyone's been talking about toilets today. I haven't been here that long, but I imagine that they that they do, because it's a big topic. Everyone needs one, and we probably do need to look at the way that we do things in New Zealand a little bit. There are some different models in places like Germany where communities get together and find ways to provide adequate toilets. For whether or not charging is the way to go. It's hard to know, but it's definitely something we're probably going to have to look at. But, it's not part of who we are, fortunately, thus far.
It may not be toilets that you choose to charge for. It might be just, the cost of the roof that you need to replace. There's got, people, I think, come to New Zealand and are surprised that we don't charge for things. And I think maybe we have an opportunity here.
I think for everything that I said there, you could replace the word toilets with anything of your choosing on the peninsula, yeah. It's true.
Dion.
Just on that, I mean, there's probably some innovative ways you can use or have toilets available. Every building has a toilet, so petrol stations and those kind of things. How can we partner with places to actually enable places to be open 24/7 and available for the public just to use? But anyway, the question I had, and I don't understand the business model of the cruise ships in Akaroa, but you mentioned something around business support for businesses in Akaroa when there's less cruise ships. How's the council going to support that?
I don't see it as financial support, but it's looking at support for New Zealand visitors, tourism, replacing those ones that are not coming through Akaroa now and going to Littleton.
Okay,
but
cool.
Opportunities for encouraging them to work together to look at how they might help themselves.
So it's more of an economic kind of thing. So it's probably something Christchurch NZ should pick up and actually make happen. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thanks. Thank you.
I mean, at the moment we have, Akaroa is a town of 600 people. On a given cruise ship day, you might throw 7,000 people into the mix. That creates some problems on infrastructure, but it also creates some good opportunities for business. So when cruise ships move to Littleton, we're going to have the opposite thing, aren't we? We're going to have a lot of businesses that have been set up to deal with 7,000 visitors at a time that suddenly need ways to be opened up to visitors coming from elsewhere to Akaroa. Yeah. Opportunities, that's what Banks Peninsula is all about. It's about opportunity.
We need to start working on it though. It's Yeah, we're linked into Christchurch.
I don't want to get
NZ.
bogged down on this issue.
Yes.
Andrew?
Just on that last one.
Oh, I had to have a go.
10 points,
Something,
10
didn't I?
points to
Yeah.
Leanne.
On that last one, destination management and destination marketing are both roles of Christchurch NZ, and both will come into play here. But to my question, the design review panels,
Yes.
some interesting commentary on those in the submission, and a request for $21,200 to support those panels. And noting that the Littleton urban design panel was only put in place post-earthquake by resolution of council in response to need. Is there a real risk that if these panels are not adequately funded, they will either cease to exist or cease to function in a meaningful way? And what would be any negative implications of that, realising that this might be different for Akaroa and Littleton?
Well, it's the Littleton design panel has been very successful. It was different to the Akaroa one. It was made up and it had a different structure around it. And the funding is for those, it's not for community board members or those that are community members, it's for those experts that need to be funded for their work, whether it's either to travel out to and give their input or go to Littleton. So it's, and these towns are different. They are historic towns, they're gazetted as historic towns. And they need to be, their heritage needs to be respected, and we need to have people that are knowledgeable around those issues. Both towns are different, but we need to see that the heritage or the new structures or rearrangements of the heritage buildings or upgrading of those heritage buildings is fitting and fits in with those towns. So it's actually providing some funding for them, and if the city has it, surely there should be an opportunity to provide it for our ones on Banks Peninsula.
But I also think, Andrew, that, I mean, if Littleton and Ngakaroa, they have great historic heritage value, they're beautiful towns. If the aesthetics of those towns were destroyed in any way, you know, the impact on potential tourism, or, you know, the economic impact could far outweigh, you know, what's 20 grand is a drop in the bucket compared to the potential impact, you know, that we could have if we end up ruining those towns to the eye.
We need to have people that understand those areas that are involved, that know Akaroa, that know Littleton. So, you know, they are two distinct panels and different from the city's urban design panel.
Professionals.
Yeah.
Very good. Phil.
Thank you, Pam. And I just want to ask you about your request, really, for the reserve management committees.
Yes.
130,000. You've got 15 committees, and like that, that sounds quite admirable, actually. But I'm just thinking, have the board also considered, and to support that application, that the potential cost benefit in doing so, and if some analysis was done, especially to look at the amount of leverage that such reserve committees provide to the community. Have you considered doing that?
Last year was the first year that we had that funding. So we're just in the beginning stages of seeing the success of that. The park rangers are involved with that process, assisting the reserve management committees and making those requests for support through that for that funding to assist with projects that are out in each of those reserve management committees. So it was only a trial. It appears as though it was a trial last year. I don't think all the funding has been used, but if it could be reviewed and some rollover, if there was an opportunity for a rollover, or look at it next year and look at it then.
Thanks, Pam. And the board could take part in that review?
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
Great. Thank you.
Good. Look, thank you very much, and it's always great to hear from you. It's you've just done an incredible amount of work, and I really like the way that you aligned all of your requests to either your own board's strategic priorities or ours.
Yes.
So
The importance of that.
really good.
Yes.
Thank you very much.